Now, if you're sitting at home and saying, this is turning out to be a pretty good World Cup, well, there is one team out there, in the middle out there, that you have to thank, because that's after Sri Lanka beat England that things have started to go all haywire in this World Cup. South Africa taking on Sri Lanka, the only game in the World Cup match. Number 35 coming to you from Chesterley Street in Durham. ESPNcricinfo match day, as we're looking forward to that game, and I'm joined in studio by Mike Hussey. Sir, do we start with a slow clap for Sri Lanka for starting things off in this World Cup? Really, I think they deserve that after that victory.
Yeah, they certainly have increased their chances of making the semi-finals with that upset win, you'd have to say, against England. They were superb with the ball, particularly the old warrior, Lasith Malinga. What a legend he was in that game. But they've got to put that behind them now. They've got to back it up and do it again because, it's a big game. Coming into this tournament, if you had it at the start of the tournament, you would have said, who's the favourite out of these two teams? You would have said South Africa for sure. But South Africa have found themselves already out of the tournament. So, who knows what's going to happen.
So, of course, the majority of our show will be focusing on Team Sri Lanka. But I'm just going to start things off with one question on South Africa, who don't have any chance of making the Final Four. If you're part of that squad right now, what's your motivation?
Well, you still got to play with a lot of pride for your country. It's a one-day international, a World Cup game for your country. You've got personal pride. Plus, I think a few of their players will be playing for their careers. So, they'll want to put in a really good performance from an individual, personal point of view to keep their careers alive, but also to give their fans something to cheer about, because it's been a really disappointing World Cup for them.
Michael, let's look at your Sri Lanka playing 11 now. Are you making any changes to that squad?
Just looking at the one change, I think, and of course it's a bit difficult because I haven't seen the pitch conditions and things like that up at Chesterley Street. Generally speaking, it's a nice seamers track, but we're not exactly sure what we're going to get. But I'd be looking to leave out Jeevan Mendes. I thought he just struggled a little bit in the last game, and I'm just not sure. Depending on the conditions, I'd look to bring in Sirowadana or Van der Say, the spinner. So if the pitch is quite bare and it looks like it might take some turn, I'd love to go with that attacking option of bringing in an attacking spinner. If it's not going to suit the spinners as much, then maybe go for the all-rounder.
Now, as far as South Africa is concerned, are you going to be making too many changes, saying, let me give a run out to people who haven't got a chance to play in this World Cup? Or do you go in with that strongest 11 just to show the intent is there, that we're here to win? Yeah,
I had a good look at the squad, and I know there'll be discussions around, should we make a change? Should we give some guys different opportunities? But there's probably not a lot to play with there for South Africa. The only batsman probably sitting out at the moment is probably JP Duminy. So I was thinking, do you leave Hashim Amla out and bring in someone else, maybe move Markram up the order? I toyed around with a lot of different things, but in the end, I decided to stick with the same team. I just think, they're playing for some pride. This is the team they sort of backed for the World Cup. Give them a chance to at least put a few smiles on some South African faces, and then at the end of the tournament, perhaps there might be need to make some tough calls on some certain players.
Now, when you talk about Sri Lanka's batting, of course, it's in two phases. They start with the opening combination, which go hammer and tongs against whoever's bowling against them, and then comes their middle order. But their middle order did come good in their last game, especially someone like an Angelo Matthews, who played a match-winning knock in that victory versus England. Let's show you a couple of scores now, as far as Sri Lanka have done. Least 50-plus scores, Michael, in the World Cup, just better than Afghanistan. 4 matches, 550-plus score. My only question is, you've got one approach up top. Would you sort of rein it in a little bit so that you can get a few more 50-plus scores? Because those are the guys who will get you those big ones.
Yeah, I don't think they should change the way they play. That's how they play their best cricket. So the guys at the top have been doing okay. Definitely need more from that middle order. It was a really promising sign to see Angelo Matthews get some runs in the last match. They've had a few tricky pitches to play on, so I wouldn't be reading into it too much, but certainly coming into the back end of the tournament, if Sri Lanka are at a push for that semi-final berth, they definitely need more 50-plus scores. I was really impressed with Fernando batting at number 3 in the last match. I thought he looked superb, and hopefully he can kick on and get some runs as well. But you're right, they need more contributions from that middle order.
The key is to come together somehow and find that balance.
Of course. So ideally speaking, the perfect blueprint would be the top 3 bat most of the time. One of those players goes on and gets a big score, and then have other contributions from the other guys coming in. A bit of power play to finish off, and you get yourself up to a nice match-winning score.
Hey, who's complaining? Let's move on now. Of course, when you're talking about Sri Lanka, you have to talk about Lasith Malinga, who was written off to be fair, quite a few years back, a lot of people said Lasith Malinga will not be coming back to international cricket. These are his numbers in ODI since 2015. Average was 44.3. Since 2018, that average has dropped to 28.7. Economy less than 6.
It's amazing, isn't it?
You just can't write him off?
No, you should never write off champion players. And Lasith Malinga has been a champion player for Sri Lanka. I look at the numbers where he was struggling, around that 2015, 17 sort of. I think he had a few injury problems there as well. I know he's not in peak fitness at the moment, but at least his body's holding together quite well. He's got the experience. He knows how to execute under pressure. He's been there in every pressure situation known to a bowler. And he's confident at the moment. His performance against England, it really wound back the clock. It was phenomenal to watch. And he's the key man in that Sri Lankan attack. And the other role that he plays is, because he's got so much experience, he can talk and lead the other bowlers in there as well and calm them down and keep them focused on what they need to do. So he's such an important player for them.
Also from an opposition point of view, he's an imposing figure, because you take a look at his records in World Cup and Lasith Malinga is right up there with the top performers in the world. And Lasith Malinga for Pacers, 26 matches, 51 wickets, Michael, average of 21.50. I'm sure there's a reverse effect on the opposition if they know Malinga is not playing or playing.
Yeah. Oh, with that, he's got 2 hat tricks in that as well.
Yeah.
So he's a very difficult man to face, especially if you haven't faced much of him before, because conventionally speaking, bowlers sort of bowl with their hand nice and high, and he comes in from very wide. He's got an excellent slower ball. It's awkward, it's different, and if you're not used to it, you can find yourself walking back to the pavilion without even knowing what happened. He executes his Yorker so well at the death. I've already mentioned the slower ball. His bumper's probably not as fast as it used to be back in the old days, but still quite effective as a surprise delivery too.
And finally, let's just show you how poor a World Cup it's been for Team South Africa. Of course, considered amongst one of the biggest teams in world cricket. This has been their worst World Cup, hands down. 1992 is the last time when they didn't make it out of the league phase. 2019, they've done the same. 7 matches played, just 1 victory to their name, and of course, 5 lost. Mike, if you're part of that team right now, you say, forget what's happened in this World Cup. Your World Cup begins now versus Sri Lanka. Easier said than done though.
Yeah, they would feel sick in the stomach, those players. So much expectation coming in. They haven't been able to perform. Listening to Faf du Plessis in his post-match commentary has been all about their low on confidence. They're so disappointed. Now, you just want them to release the shackles. You know, that they just look like they're a team that is under so much pressure. Just go out there and just play. Just let yourself go. Try and play with some freedom, and then I bet you that you'll see the flair of some of these fantastic players they've got come out. And it's been really disappointing for them, but I just want them to let go and just go and express themselves and have some fun out there.
Right, just a correction, it was not just since 1992 the first time. In 2003 as well, they did not make it out of the league phase and move into the knockouts, did South Africa. Future prediction. I like calling them future prediction now, not just prediction. Future prediction, Mike.
Future prediction. Well, my predicting has not been good. I'm going to say an upset. I'm going to say South Africa are going to win.
Who would have thought someone would have called that an upset?
Yes, that's right. That's what I meant from the start of the show, saying, coming into the tournament, I think South Africa would have been the favourites. Sri Lanka, they will be desperate. They have to win to give their chances, hope into that semi-final slot. But I've just got a feeling about South Africa. Now that they're out, I feel like they're going to free up and just go for it and play their best cricket.
This, of course, was our preview with Michael Hussey as we were building up to Sri Lanka taking on South Africa.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments in the comment section below. Click on the bell icon for notifications.